Hey, how you doing? Welcome back in another video. In this video, the 3 stages of spiritual development or spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. Now, first of all, why do we go through this? And why even bother? Most of us, we never really had planned this anyway, that we have to go through all the stuff, like awakening and the things that actually is causing that, and the sacrifices we had to make, the suffering we had to make, the losses, the failure we had to go through, the pains and the dis-eases we had to go through. We never choose for that, yet it happened. And also many of us, we never really chose for this whole awakening thing. And that suddenly our hypersensitivity starts to wake up to us, and suddenly we can't really seem to cope with, with the things we're normally really good at coping with. So first, let's talk about it. And of course, as always, I always like to share this insight based on my own personal experiences, because at the end we share our stories from our scars, not from our wounds, because then we haven't really healed them, but more from our scars, because we have healed the wounds, and now we can share the insights that came from that. Now, let's say is that we started off in life and we've been through things that were, let's say, very, very unpleasant. For some, that had to do with mental, emotional, physical, sexual abuse. For some, they had to say goodbye to a parent or to a family member who had passed on. And many of us, we simply had to learn and develop certain type of coping skills in order to, get on with life. For some, their parents went through a divorce, and whatever your story is. Or some, they had to experience massive amount of, let's say, not just emotional abuse, but let's say also emotional neglect, that their emotional needs were simply never ever met. And they go through life thinking that, it's all okay at the surface level. They have good jobs, reasonable careers, maybe a marriage or whatever. But still deep down they still feel very, very empty. Still something is missing. Now, that's really like a subtle thing. But for others, when they have been through, let's say, massive amount of neglect or abuse or whatever, there was like violence, aggression or whatever, what we tend to do is we tend to build up a wall to protect ourselves from more pain. That's what we do. So what will happen is, let's say, we start to develop a false identity. An identity that is based to deal with surviving. And, we become tough, we harden up. And as we go through life, we develop behaviors that is all about survival, taking care of our own needs first, because, no one ever else did it for us. So we have to go and get it. So we always coming from this place of lacking something, needing something. And that, of course, can go way out of balance, where we have to control and dominate and manipulate. And it even can go much worse and much further than that. Think about becoming a sociopath, a narcissist, etc. Now, it doesn't have to be go that far, but let's say it became a little bit closer, probably something that we can relate to much more, but still we're coming from this place of massive amount of lack and emptiness. That's why we must fight very hard for our needs. Then what happen? We go through large amount of stress and anxiety and depression and feelings of burnout, which are all these symptoms that something is really missing. So these are basically, then we actually go through the first stage. The first stage is, we are being faced with dis-ease. Okay, we are not at ease anymore within ourselves. We start to realize and we become aware that something is really, really off within ourselves. So the first step is really awareness, like something is really, not really in place. We are not in a line with our true authentic self, because for so long, for so many years, we created a false identity. So this false identity, you know, like Jim Carrey, he says this very well, like depression, it tells your body, your mind and your body tells you that depression is basically, your soul is telling you is that you need to rest from that part that is not really in line with who you really are and who you actually really choose to be at the soul level, at the spiritual level. So that's actually the first stage. So let's say, you know, dis-ease, stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, whatever you want to call it. Physical dis-ease perhaps as well. Maybe we go through separation, divorce, we let go of relationships, financial stress, dis-ease, whatever. Something is happening that gets out of our, you know, place that we worked so hard for in order to gain that status. However, that status was a complete misalignment with our true authentic self. So we seek for healing. That's what we start off with. That's the first stage. We seek for healing. We seek for a way to, you know, come a little bit closer with our true authentic self. So we go to workshops, we go to seminars, we go to do this, we read books, we seek out professional help perhaps, we look out for a healer, a therapist, a coach, whatever. So this journey can go on for, you know, quite some time, whatever is needed. And then things start to ease off a little bit. Okay, things start to ease off a little bit, and now you have given things a place. You know, you do not longer have to identify yourself, because that's really what we do at a mental, emotional level, is that we tend to identify ourselves with labels. You know, some say, oh, I'm HSP, highly sensitive person. Oh, I'm HSS, high sensation seeker. Oh, wait a minute, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever. But at the end, at the spiritual level, the soul is really guiding us into a whole new direction that the mind simply cannot comprehend just yet. Then we go into the second phase. The high peaks and the deep lows, they seem to, you know, ease out a little bit. You know, we get, let's say, comfortable again. You know, we create a little bubble for ourselves, perhaps we attract a new person in our life, we settle down, we become comfortable. Maybe we have a job that simply pays the bills, but yet deep down we are still not satisfied, we are not fulfilled. And then we know we are trying to seek for other identification to declare what is wrong with us, you know. So we say, oh, you know, I'm ADHD, I'm ADD, I am, you know, CAN, I've suffered from childhood emotional neglect, or this or that or whatever. Or, you know, it's I've been through let's call it narcissistic emotional abuse, and you know, that's my illness. You know, that's my stamp that I like to put on my forehead, because that's, you know, can explain what is quote unquote wrong with me. Because something must be wrong with us if something is still missing. So the second phase is actually we still do not really feel truly connected with ourselves. We still do not feel connected with other people. We still do not feel connected with the world around us. And what we still seems to do is, you know, we look at life from the outside out. You know, we're sitting here on the sideline looking to the world passing by, and we do not feel connected or engaged with it. Yet we do not really want to engage with it, because we think that there are countless reasons that something is completely wrong with the world around us. And at some level you might be completely right about that, of course. And it's a whole other topic we actually can go into, that perhaps because of what's happening at us at a conscious level, humanity as a whole, as a collective, there are still many things that are not longer serving us anymore. Let's say at a political, economical, social level, at a collective level. Things that are off in society, at how the system is currently working and set up. And many of us, we start to realize, yeah, but I do not really want to, connect with that anymore. I have never felt connected to that. I do not really want to participate. I have to, I know, but I do not really want to. So that's the second step. The third step is where we start to reclaim our personal power. We start to reclaim our personal power and we realize, like, okay, I have seen all the problems that I've faced in this world. I have been through my journey of sacrifices and of suffering, and I realize that my light enters where it has hurt the most. Now we have turned our wounds in our scars, and now we can tell our story from these scars. Because when we can tell stories, we can guide others who are going through a similar journey through this process, through insights and inspiration. Let our stories inspire others. These stories will eventually empower us in a way where we seek for ways to empower others. That's, I think, true personal empowerment. So the third stage of spiritual awakening is where we actually start to remember our core purpose here on this earth. Now I can of course share my whole journey again. Once again, I could say like, yeah, I've been through this, I've been through that, and I came to London, and I felt my emptiness, I felt my restlessness, and then I realized this, and I realized that, and then I realized, okay, so perhaps then this is really what I'm meant here to do. I can share another 20-25 minutes with that, but I think use this as a way to integrate it within your own experience, integrate it within your own journey of seeking for answers. And perhaps you can realize, like, yes, I've come across solutions that I truly believe that can benefit the many who are still struggling with this fear-based, survival-based consciousness. And yes, we could say, okay, so that exists at an individual level, but at the end, we all still are being connected in a system that is not really serving us at a spiritual level. So perhaps you could start having to look at ways to bust that system by introducing new systems that can elevate us out of this poverty, survival-based consciousness. I think I will leave it with that. Just give you some insights and ideas. And then, if you want to have a conversation further about this, then feel free to reach out and we can continue to have a conversation about this. If you're looking for ideas around this. So, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Please let me know. Simply drop a comment below. And let's continue to have this conversation. Jean-Paul here, signing off. Take care for now. Bye bye.